Hey everyone, Elizabeth here. The Last Laugh delivers stories that leave you speechless. If you're here for it, hit subscribe and let's go.
The email arrived on a Tuesday morning while I was reviewing grant applications in my office at the Medical Research Institute. Subject: Williams Family Important Event, please read. I opened it already knowing what I'd find. My sister Jennifer had a particular way of crafting these messages. Professional. Polite. Completely devastating. Dear Sarah, it began. No hi or hey sis. Just my name, formal and distant. Dad is receiving the Community Leadership Award from the mayor's office next month. It's a black tie event at the Grand Ballroom. The guest list includes city council members, business leaders, and Dad's entire professional network. I scrolled down waiting for it. Given the nature of this event and the professional atmosphere, we think it's best if you sit this one out. Your attendance could create unnecessary complications. We hope you understand this isn't personal. It's about protecting Dad's reputation during this important milestone. There was the polite exclusion. The gentle suggestion that I didn't belong. I should have been used to it by now. 28 years of being the family disappointment had given me plenty of practice. But something about seeing it in writing, so carefully worded, so deliberately kind in its cruelty, still stung. My assistant knocked on my door. Dr. Williams? The board meeting starts in 10 minutes. Thank you, Marcus. I'll be right there. I closed the email without responding. What was there to say? Please let me attend my own father's award ceremony. I promise I won't embarrass you. I'd stopped begging for acceptance years ago. Growing up, I was always the problem child. Not because I was rebellious or difficult. My crime was simpler. I was different. My father, Robert Williams, was a successful commercial real estate developer. My mother had been a corporate attorney before she passed away when I was 12. My older sister Jennifer followed perfectly in their footsteps. Business degree from an Ivy League school, MBA, now a senior vice president at a Fortune 500 company. And then there was me. I liked science. I liked research. I spent my teenage years in the library reading medical journals instead of networking at Dad's business events. I chose State University over the private schools they'd selected because it had a better research program. I pursued a PhD in biomedical engineering instead of an MBA. Every choice I made was met with disappointment. Sarah's going through a phase, Dad would tell his colleagues when they asked about me. She'll grow out of it, Jennifer would add with a sympathetic smile. But I didn't grow out of it. I grew into it. I graduated with honors. Got accepted to a prestigious graduate program. Published research papers. Won grants. Built a career in medical technology that I genuinely loved. None of it mattered to them. Because in my family's world, success had one definition: wealth, status, connections. My research on affordable medical devices for underserved communities didn't fit their narrative. My work meant nothing because it didn't come with a corner office or invitations to exclusive galas. Still working in that lab? Dad would ask at the rare family dinners I attended. Still doing the charity work? Jennifer would add, making charity sound like a character flaw. 3 years ago I stopped trying to explain my work to them. Stopped hoping they'd show interest. Stopped attending most family events. And they were relieved. My absence made their lives easier. They didn't have to explain the disappointing daughter to their powerful friends. Didn't have to justify why I wasn't successful by their standards. Didn't have to pretend they were proud of me. So when the email arrived uninviting me from Dad's award ceremony, it was just the latest in a long pattern. What they didn't know, what they'd never bothered to ask about, was what my life had actually become. 6 years ago I had a breakthrough. My research team developed a portable diagnostic device that could perform complex medical tests in remote areas without electricity or internet connectivity. It was designed for refugee camps, disaster zones, rural communities without access to hospitals. The technology was revolutionary. But more importantly, it was cheap to produce. I filed the patents. Found investors who believed in the mission. Built a company called MedReach Technologies. Within 2 years, our devices were being used in 40 countries. The WHO endorsed us. UNICEF became our biggest client. We won innovation awards from organizations I'd only dreamed about. And the company became extraordinarily profitable. Not because we gouged prices, we didn't. but because solving a massive global problem at scale turned out to be excellent business. Governments, NGOs, healthcare systems, they all needed what we'd built. Last year, MedReach Technologies was valued at $340 million. As founder and CEO, my stake was worth approximately $190 million. I lived modestly, drove a 10-year-old Honda, lived in the same 2-bedroom condo I'd bought as a graduate student, dressed in clothes from department stores, not designer boutiques, because the money was never the point. 90% of my wealth was already committed to charitable foundations, medical research, scholarship funds, global health initiatives. I'd set up trusts that would fund medical education for underprivileged students for generations, including the $5 million scholarship fund at our local university, the one being announced at my father's award ceremony, the one my father thought was honoring him. I'd established it anonymously 2 years ago, specifically for students pursuing careers in public health, medical research, and nonprofit healthcare work. The careers my family considered worthless. When the university reached out last month asking if I'd allow them to publicly name me as the donor during a special ceremony, I'd hesitated. Then I received my sister's email uninviting me from Dad's event. And I called the university back. Yes, I told the development director. You can announce my name. In fact, I'd like to attend. Wonderful. When is the event? I gave them the date. The same night as my father's award ceremony. Perfect, the director said. The mayor is already scheduled to present at your father's event first. She'll come directly to us afterward. This timing actually works beautifully. I smiled. Yes, I think it does. The weeks before the ceremony were quiet on the family front. Jennifer sent one follow-up email confirming I'd received the suggestion to skip the event. I didn't respond. Dad called once. Sarah, about next month. Your sister explained the situation. You understand, right? This is important for my professional reputation. I understand completely, Dad. Good. I knew you'd be reasonable about it. Maybe we can have lunch sometime after. Maybe. We both knew that lunch would never happen. What they didn't know was that I'd been in contact with the ceremony organizers. Not for Dad's event. I respected their wish that I stay away. But I knew every detail of the program. Knew exactly when each award would be presented. Knew precisely when the mayor would leave to attend the university's scholarship announcement. My assistant Marcus helped me prepare. Are you sure about this, Dr. Williams? Once they know. They should have known years ago, Marcus. They just never asked. I bought a gown for the university event. Black, elegant, appropriate for an evening where I'd be honored as a major donor. Cost more than I usually spent on clothes. But this night mattered. The university had planned everything carefully. The scholarship announcement would happen at 8:30 p.m., exactly 30 minutes after Dad's award was scheduled. The mayor would present both. I wondered if Dad even knew about the scholarship fund. If he'd read the program for his own ceremony. If he'd seen that an anonymous donor was being recognized. Probably not. He'd be too focused on his own award, his own speech, his own moment of recognition. He'd never imagine his disappointing daughter could be connected to a $5 million donation. The night of the ceremony, I arrived at the university's event hall at 8 p.m. Early enough to avoid any chance of running into my family, who'd be at the grand ballroom across town. The university president greeted me personally. Dr. Williams, we're so honored you're here. Your generosity has changed countless lives. The work those students will do will change many more. Your parents must be so proud. I smiled politely. They're actually at another event tonight. Oh, that's too bad. We'd have loved to meet them. I'm sure they'd say the same. I took my seat in the front row, reserved for major donors and distinguished guests. Around me, professors, students, and community leaders filled the elegant hall. Some recognized me from medical conferences. Others had read my research. A few students approached nervously to thank me for making their education possible. At 8:15, my phone buzzed with a text from Jennifer. Dad's speech was amazing. So proud. Glad you understood about tonight. I didn't respond. At 8:25, the program began. The university president welcomed everyone. Spoke about the importance of supporting students who chose careers in service over profit. Talked about how rare it was to find donors who truly understood the mission. Tonight, she said, We have the privilege of finally naming a donor who has chosen to step forward after 2 years of anonymity. Her contribution has already funded medical education for 47 students. Over the next decade, it will support hundreds more. Through the hall's windows I could see car headlights pulling up. The mayor's motorcade arriving from Dad's event. This donor is herself a remarkable scientist and entrepreneur. A leader in global health technology. A woman who proves that success and service are not mutually exclusive. The mayor entered through the side door, took her place on stage. She'd just come from presenting my father with his Community Leadership Award. Now she was here to present mine. Ladies and gentlemen, the university president continued, it is my great honor to recognize the founder of the Williams Scholarship Fund for Public Health and Medical Research. Please welcome Dr. Sarah Williams. The audience applauded as I stood. Walked to the stage. Shook hands with the president and the mayor. The mayor smiled warmly. Dr. Williams, I just came from another event honoring someone with your last name. Any relation? Robert Williams is my father. Her eyes widened slightly. He didn't mention having a daughter in medical research. What a remarkable family. Yes, I said quietly. Remarkable. The speech I gave that night was brief. I talked about the students this scholarship would support, the careers they'd pursue, the lives they'd save, the communities they'd serve. I didn't mention my family. Didn't talk about being excluded or dismissed. Didn't make it about my pain. Because this night wasn't about me. It was about those 47 students and the hundreds who would come after them. But as I spoke, my phone began buzzing in my clutch. And again. And again. The university president presented me with a Crystal Award. Photographers captured the moment. The mayor gave brief remarks about the importance of philanthropic leadership. And my phone kept buzzing. When the formal program ended and I could finally check my messages, I found 17 texts and 9 missed calls. All from my family. Jennifer, Sarah, call me now. Dad, what is going on? Jennifer, did you donate $5 million to a scholarship fund? Dad, why would you do this without telling us? Jennifer, people at Dad's event are asking why you weren't there. They saw the university's social media posts. This is so embarrassing. Dad, I need you to explain this immediately. Jennifer, Dad's friends are asking if he knew about your company. Did you tell them you were coming to a competing event? Competing event. That's what this was to them. Not a celebration of supporting students. Not recognition for philanthropic work. A competing event that drew attention away from Dad. The texts continued. Dad, the mayor just told me she presented an award to you. Why didn't you tell me you'd be at another ceremony tonight? Jennifer, people are posting photos of you with the mayor. This looks terrible for Dad. Aunt Catherine, sweetheart, what's happening? Your father is very upset. People are asking about your company and he doesn't know what to tell them. Uncle Richard, Sarah, did you really donate $5 million? Where did you get that kind of money? I turned my phone to silent. Put it back in my clutch. Returned to the reception where students and faculty wanted to talk about medical research and global health initiatives. At 9:30, I was in conversation with a group of scholarship recipients when Marcus approached. Dr. Williams, your father and sister just arrived. They're in the lobby. Of course they were. Thank you, Marcus. I'll handle it. I excused myself from the students and walked to the lobby. Dad and Jennifer stood near the entrance, still in their formal wear from his ceremony, looking completely out of place and absolutely furious. Dad saw me first. Sarah, we need to talk. Now. Hello, Dad. Jennifer. How was your event? Don't play games, Jennifer hissed. What the hell is going on? I glanced around the lobby where other guests were starting to notice the commotion. Perhaps we should step outside. We moved to a quiet courtyard. The moment we were alone, Dad exploded. $5 million, Sarah? Where did you get $5 million? From my company. What company? You work in a lab. I own a medical technology company. MedReach Technologies. We develop diagnostic devices for underserved communities. Jennifer pulled out her phone, clearly Googling. Her face went pale. MedReach Technologies is valued at. Sarah, this says $340 million. That's approximately correct. You own a company worth $340 million and you never told us? Dad's voice was shaking. You never asked. Don't give me that. You deliberately hid this from us. I didn't hide anything. I've been working on this for 6 years. It's been in the news. We've won awards. I've been interviewed in trade publications. I published a profile in Medical Innovation Quarterly last year. You could have known any time you were interested enough to ask. This is unbelievable, Jennifer said, still scrolling through her phone. You've been on advisory boards. You spoke at a WHO conference. You testified before Congress about healthcare accessibility. Yes. When? Dad demanded. 2 years ago. And you didn't think to tell your family? I looked at him steadily. When's the last time you asked me about my work, Dad? When's the last time either of you showed any interest in what I do? That's not the point. That's exactly the point. You've spent years making it clear my career doesn't matter to you. That my choices are disappointing. That I'm an embarrassment to the family. You uninvited me from your ceremony tonight because my presence might cause issues. That's not, we didn't, Jennifer stammered. The email is quite clear, Jennifer. Your attendance could create unnecessary complications. Those were your exact words. Dad's face was red. You're twisting this. We were trying to protect. Protect what? Your reputation? Your professional network? From what exactly? From your daughter who runs a $340 million company? Who funds medical research? Who just donated $5 million to support students? You made us look like fools. Jennifer shouted. Everyone at Dad's event saw the university's posts. They were all asking why you weren't at his ceremony. Why we didn't tell them about your company. We looked like we didn't even know our own family. You don't know your own family. You've never wanted to. That's not fair, Dad said, but his voice had lost some of its anger. Isn't it? Name one project I've worked on in the last 5 years. Silence. Name one paper I've published. One award I've won. One country where my devices are being used. More silence. You can't. Because you've never cared enough to learn. I wasn't successful by your definition, so I didn't matter. This is ridiculous, Jennifer said, recovering her composure. You're making us the villains because we didn't track every little research project. Every little research project? My work has provided medical care to millions of people. Millions, Jennifer. But you dismissed it as charity work, like it was a hobby. We supported you. You tolerated me. Barely. And only when I stayed quiet and didn't interfere with your important lives. Dad tried a different approach. Sarah, honey, I think we've all gotten emotional. Why don't we start over? We can celebrate your success. Now you want to celebrate? After uninviting me from your ceremony? After years of making it clear I'm an embarrassment. We never said that. You didn't have to. It was in every dismissive question. Every time you changed the subject when I talked about my work. Every family event where you introduced Jennifer's achievements and ignored mine. Every time you suggested I was going through a phase, instead of building a career. You're being oversensitive, Jennifer said. Am I? Tell me, Jennifer, why did you uninvite me tonight? I told you. It was a professional event. And you thought I'd embarrass Dad. Why? What have I ever done to embarrass him? Your lifestyle. The choices you've made. What choices? Working in medical research? Building a company that saves lives? Donating to charity? That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? Specifically. She couldn't answer. I turned to Dad. Do you even know what award you received tonight? The Community Leadership Award. For what? What was it recognizing? My contributions to the city's economic development. And do you know why the scholarship fund is named the Williams Fund? Confusion crossed his face. I assumed, after our family. It's named after Mom. He froze. Elizabeth Williams. The woman who used to volunteer at free legal clinics every weekend. Who believed lawyers had a responsibility to serve communities, not just corporations. Who told me before she died that success meant nothing if you didn't use it to help people. Dad's eyes were wet. Sarah. I built this company on her values, Dad. Not yours. And when I had enough money to make a difference, I created something in her memory. A scholarship for students who want careers in service. The kind of careers you've always dismissed as worthless. I never said they were worthless. You didn't have to. Your actions said it clearly enough. Jennifer's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and her face went pale. Sarah, there's a news article. About tonight. It mentions that you're Robert Williams's daughter. It says, oh God, it says you weren't at his ceremony. And people are commenting. They're saying it's strange. They're asking why. Why the daughter who just donated $5 million wasn't at her father's community leadership event. Yes, I imagine that does look strange. Dad grabbed my arm. Sarah, please. This is getting out of control. Can't we fix this? I gently removed his hand. Fix what exactly? The years of dismissiveness? The constant disappointment? The exclusion? We'll make it right. We'll tell people there was a misunderstanding. There was no misunderstanding, Dad. You didn't want me at your ceremony. You got exactly what you wanted. But now it looks like you don't have a relationship with your successful daughter? Like you didn't know about her achievements? Like she wasn't important enough to invite? I paused. Yes, it looks exactly like what it is. You're punishing us, Jennifer said quietly. No. I'm just done pretending we're a close family for your benefit. You excluded me. You got your private celebration. I got mine. Everyone got what they wanted. Sarah, please, Dad's voice cracked. I know I haven't been. I know I didn't understand. But you're still my daughter. Am I? Because for years I felt more like an inconvenience you tolerated. That's not true. Then why was it so easy to exclude me tonight? Why didn't it even occur to you to include me? Why was your first instinct to hide me away so I wouldn't create complications? He had no answer. I'm going back to the reception, I said. Students who actually value what I've built are waiting. You should return to your event. I'm sure your professional network is wondering where you went. Sarah, wait. I was done waiting. Done hoping. Done trying to earn acceptance from people who'd decided I wasn't worth knowing. I walked back inside, leaving them in the courtyard. The next morning I woke to find my phone had exploded overnight. The local news had picked up the story. Tech CEO's $5 million scholarship announced same night as father's award ceremony, daughter notably absent from his event. It wasn't the narrative Dad wanted. One news outlet dug deeper. Dr. Sarah Williams builds $340 million medical technology empire while family celebrates father's community leadership. Why wasn't she there? Another angle, anonymous donor revealed. Biomedical entrepreneur quietly funding next generation of public health workers. The business press loved it. MedReach Technologies founder emerges from anonymity with major philanthropic announcement. And social media was having a field day. Wait, his daughter runs a company that provides medical care to millions and wasn't invited to his community leadership award? Make it make sense. She donated $5 million and they told her not to come? What kind of family? The comments in her scholarship announcement are heartbreaking. Students talking about how she changed their lives. And her own father didn't know. My phone rang. Jennifer. I answered. Yes. Sarah, this is out of control. The press is making Dad look terrible. Can you please make a statement? Tell them it was a scheduling conflict or something. Why would I lie? Because you're making our family look dysfunctional. I'm not making us look like anything. I'm just declining to cover up what actually happened. You're being vindictive. I'm being honest. There's a difference. Dad called an hour later. His voice was subdued. Sarah, I've been getting calls. From colleagues. Friends. People asking why I didn't know about your company. What did you tell them? The truth. That I didn't ask. That I didn't know. He paused. I should have known. Yes. I was proud last night. Standing on that stage accepting that award. And the whole time, you were across town doing something more meaningful than anything I've ever done. I didn't respond. Your mother would be proud of you. The scholarship. Your work. All of it. I know. Can I ask you something? Yes. Why did you let them announce your name? You'd been anonymous for 2 years. You could have stayed that way. I considered the question. Because I'm tired of being invisible. You couldn't see me. The family couldn't see me. So I decided to be seen by people who actually cared about the work. We care. Do you, Dad? Really? Or are you just upset that other people know something you didn't? Long silence. I don't know how to fix this, he finally said. Maybe you can't. Maybe some things are too broken. Will you at least consider? Could we have lunch? Just talk. About what? About anything. Your work. Your life. Things I should have asked about years ago. I sighed. Dad, you had years to ask. You didn't. I'm not interested in a relationship built on guilt or damage control. That's not what this is. Isn't it? If the story hadn't gone public, would you be calling? Would you suddenly care about my company? Or would you have kept dismissing me as the disappointing daughter who works in a lab? He couldn't answer. When you can answer that honestly, I said, maybe we can talk. I hung up. 3 weeks later I received a letter. Physical mail, handwritten on Dad's personal stationery. Dear Sarah, it began. You asked me a question I couldn't answer. When would I have cared if the story hadn't gone public? I've spent 3 weeks thinking about it. The honest answer is I don't know. And that terrifies me. I've built my life on being certain. Certain of my choices, my values, my judgments. But I wasn't certain enough to trust my own daughter. I wasn't curious enough to look past my own definitions of success and see yours. You asked what award I received. I had to look it up. Community Leadership for Economic Development. They gave it to me for building properties that increased property values and created jobs. You donated $5 million to educate people who will save lives. I got an award. You changed the world. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't think I deserve lunch or phone calls or a relationship I didn't earn. But I wanted you to know I see you now. I see what you've built. I see who you are. And I'm sorry it took public embarrassment for me to open my eyes. Your mother would be proud. I'm trying to learn how to be. That. I read it 3 times. Then I put it in my desk drawer and returned to work. 6 months later, the Williams Scholarship Fund had supported 63 students. MedReach Technologies expanded to 15 new countries. I published research that won an innovation award from the National Institute of Health. And I had lunch with my father. Once a month we met at a small cafe near the university. He asked about my work. Actually listen when I explained it. Read the articles I'd published. Learn the names of my colleagues. He didn't try to insert himself into my success. Didn't tell his friends I'd suddenly become important to him. Didn't make grand gestures or public reconciliations. He just showed up. Consistently. Quietly. And asked questions he should have asked years ago. Jennifer took longer. She sent a few texts apologizing for the misunderstanding. Invited me to networking events where she could show off her successful sister. Wanted to introduce me to her colleagues. I declined. Because I didn't need her network. Didn't need her validation. Didn't need to be the sister she could brag about now that my success was public. The relationship with Dad wasn't healed. Maybe it never would be. But it was honest. And that was more than I'd had before. The night of Dad's award ceremony, when I stood on that stage at the university, I hadn't been trying to embarrass him or prove a point. I'd been choosing to be visible on my own terms in a space where my work mattered. That his ceremony happened the same night wasn't revenge. It was just the universe finally balancing the scales. Some people said I should have told my family about my success years ago. That I should have demanded they recognize my achievements. But demanding recognition from people who don't value you is exhausting. I'd rather be celebrated by those who understand the work. The students whose education I funded knew my value. The patients whose lives my devices saved knew my value. The colleagues who collaborated with me knew my value. My family's recognition, when it finally came, was just confirmation of what I'd already known. Success doesn't require their approval. It never did.